Hi everyone, today I'll be doing the Horizontall from HackTheBox, which is a easy type Linux machine where we find a subdomain that contains a Strapi CMS. That's basically vulnerable to remote code execution vulnerability that gets us onto the box, and later on, once we are on the machine, we find an interesting port that is open. Once we check it, we see that it has a Laravel PHP framework. That's basically another remote code execution. And once we exploit that, we are basically owning the machine. So yeah. So let's jump on with the video. So as always, we start off with an nmap, tag hc for default scripts, tag sv to enumerate versions, tag b-b to scan all ports and output normal formats into nmap directory and call it initial. Initial, and then we put in the IP. So because this takes time to run, I already ran it. So if we go to nmap directory, and for those of you wondering why I have all these directories, it's because basically I want to have everything organized, and you should do that too. So I'm gonna cut that initial. And basically we can see we have two ports open. One is SSH, and the other one is HTTP that has follow redirect to horizontal.htp. So basically another virtual host, we're gonna add it. So sudo nano etc hosts, and then we're gonna add in the IP and call it horizontal.htp. We're gonna save that, and if we go to our Firefox and navigate to HTTP, and then horizontal.htp, we see the page loaded, and if we click around, we see that home and feature about nothing works, because if you look at the bottom right of the screen, it says horizontal.htp/hash. That means it's basically not gonna go anywhere. Read more doesn't work. Um, if we have a contact form that also just doesn't work. If you type in and whatever, you'll see that if you click send, also doesn't work. So basically, we're gonna do the I'm just gonna start off with wfuzz to scan to enumerate basically the subdomains. So tag C for color, tag V for uh, a word list that we're gonna use. I'm gonna use opt, seclists, discovery, DNS, subdomains, top 1 million. I'm gonna use this one, and then tag U, and then HTTP, horizontal.htp to specify basically the domain we want to fuzz, and host because we are gonna change the host header, because we are basically fuzzing the subdomains. So fuzz.horizontal.htp. But yeah, and if we start off, we'll see that there is a lot of 301 response codes that we don't need, and just to not overflow our terminal screen, we're just gonna hide everything that has word of 13. So I'm just gonna clear, and then dash dash hide words of length 13. And while that runs, I'm gonna do a go buster scan, basically to brute force directories on the web page. HTTP horizontal.htp word list. Again, seclists discovery. I'm gonna use the web content, and I'm gonna use the raft small words.txt, and I'm just gonna run that. As we can see, we already have some outputs. But we can see that it's status 301 code, which means we can't access it. And if we go to, for example, JS, we can see that it's basically forbidden. Yeah, but just to make not to make this video very long, it's basically gonna find a subdomain called API prod, and I'm just gonna stop everything because it's gonna take a lot of time to run, and I'm just gonna add it manually because I already completed the machine. Basically, we're gonna need the wfuzz would find api-prod that horizontal.htp, and if we save that, and if we navigate to that, let me just remove this. and add in the http/API prod.horizontal@htb. You see it says welcome. Now, obviously, like I mentioned, the wfuzz would find this, but because I don't want to make this video long, because it takes some time to find it, I already like know this. So we find this, and yeah, we don't know anything about it. Just says welcome. So let's start off again with GoBuster. Um, to brute force directories, URL, and then the word list we want to use, which is same as always, just a different subdomain. And if we run that, it's already gonna find like admin, users, reviews. So let's check admin first. And here we can see on the tab it says Strapi admin, and we have some kind of login page. What we can do is we can try default like admin. Password doesn't work. We can try admin password. That doesn't work. One good thing is to always, if you find like a CMS like this, for example, you can search for example, Strapi default logins, because some people just don't, they put default login. Here we don't, I didn't find anything on this, so not to waste time. Um, yeah, basically, let's see other directories. So we can see that it has a reviews. We can check that. Reviews. Here it's JSON data. We can see that name, whale, Doe, and John. Um, they could potentially be users that we can log in, but in this case that just doesn't make logical sense because this is just a reviews that other people did. So yeah, nothing we can really do here. Let's check out if we have, let's go onto Google and check if we have some kind of exploits for this. So Strapi exploits. We can see the first result says Strapi CMS 300, remote code execution. Now, we don't really know the version because it doesn't say anywhere and this won't find anything. So let's see what this script does. It basically, it's gonna ask us for two arguments, which is exploit and then the URL. But we can see that it has check version function that's gonna basically, we can see that it navigates to /admin/init and then it checks the data and Strapi version. And here, if the version is this one, it's gonna output this. So we can check that also. So admin/init, and here we have basically this shows us the version. And indeed, if we see that it's basically the same version as this one, as the exploit, um, and we can obviously download that, save the file. I'm just gonna stop this because we don't need it anymore. Navigate to my horizontal directory. I'm just gonna make another directory called exploits because we're gonna have a couple of them. So yeah, just to make things organized. So I'm gonna move from my downloads folder. It's this one, and put it in this folder. And if you do sudo nano to check the contents of that, we can see that's Python 3, obviously. Check version function we checked. It's always good to read through the like read through the code just so you know it's not doing anything malicious. But yeah, it has a password reset function that's gonna basically, we can see that it navigates to admin auth reset password. And as you can see, it's basically, this is vulnerable to resetting password. So that's pretty cool. We can now we can run this exploit now. So if we do Python 3 0, and then we can see that the wrong number of arguments are provided, and here it displays the usage. So I'm just gonna use that. So http://api prod.horizontal.htb, and here it works indeed. We can see that password is successfully, and your email is admin@horizontal.htb. Your new credentials are admin super strong password 1, and here we have authenticated JSON web token. Basically, I like having the notes.txt where we're gonna put like credentials and a lot of kind of like loot, I'm gonna call it, or credentials on other stuff we find. So we find this. Now we can probably log in as admin and then add in the password that it resetted with. And indeed, now we can log in. Now we can check again Google because there is probably some scripts that we can find to upload things. So we don't have to do it manually because that would be a hassle, right? So if we do Strapi upload RC maybe, because yeah, I forgot this script like already exploits this vulnerability, so we can have a remote code execution. But if you type in who am I, for example, um, it says, remember, this is a blind RC, which stands for remote code execution. Don't expect to see output. And indeed, we can see that there is literally no output from this, so that won't help us. And if we search for this, we can try to find, for example, this one. There should be upload vulnerability, and not this. I think I saw it in um, exploits DB database. Should be here somewhere. Let's just go exploit. I can't find it, but I'm just gonna go to exploit database. I think both scripts were in database, so if we search here, can do Strapi. Um, Here we have remote code execution authenticated, and that's what we need because basically we have an authentication. And if we look at the script, it's basically we need to provide the IP, the token JWT, which we got from here, and the command and the local host. Um, yeah, basically that's the one we want. So I'm just gonna download that. You can see it's called Python script. It's just like random number. And I'm just gonna make another terminal here. Horizontall, cd exploits, and then I'm gonna do sudo move. Oops. Downloads 5038, and then put it here. Now we have two scripts, and it's the one ending with 8th. That's the new one. So if we do sudo nano, we can check for ourselves. 8.py, and yeah, indeed that it is this one. So yeah, let's just run it. Um, we run it with Python 3, 5038.py, and then it says here we need to input the URL, which is basically HTTP API dash prod.horizontal.htb. Then it needs the JWT token, which is basically JSON web token that got leaked from here. We're gonna take it from here, and then we're gonna input it. Next, it needs a command, and that's the command we want to run. For example, I'm just gonna run the basic one, who am I, and then it needs the lhost, which is our local host. And if we check top right, it's 10, 10, 14, 86, and that's a new thing from Kali. You have your VPN connection up top, IP address of the VPN connection. So you don't need to like ifconfig and search for it. Yeah, let's run this. And as you can see, this works. It found Strapi, and we can run multiple commands. But for this sake, I'm just gonna run the reverse shell. So basically, this is a cool extension that I found. You can just put in the reverse shell, it's gonna automatically mate. So 10, 10, 10, 14, 86, and port we want to listen. In this case, I'm just gonna put it 444 and copy the reverse shell and paste it here. Now, this won't really work because you can see that there is like spaces in between and we can't have that. So I'm just gonna put in in the double quotes. And of course we need to listen on that port, so netcats and listen on port 4444. And if we run the scripts, yeah, you can see that the script hanged, so that means we should have, and indeed we have the reverse shell. And if you look at the commands, you can see that it's working. So just for our sanity, I'm just gonna upgrade the shell. Ex export term equals xterm. That's gonna give us the clear command. And if we try to do like up arrow, down arrow, it's gonna put us this gibberish. So I'm just gonna Control Z to put it in the background and std raw minus echo and then foreground and now we can see that we fucked the shells up somehow. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm just gonna try that again. Um, let's try that again. And it doesn't work for some reason. Did we end this? I'm just gonna try to run it again. Now we have here. Okay, I'm just not gonna upgrade the shell because, yeah, it's basically, I'm just gonna export term equals xterm, and then, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Now, basically, I'm just gonna upload the linpiece, which is basically a Linux privilege escalation script. So on my host machine, it's in temp directory. Oops, not temp, sorry, in opt. And linpiece.sh. So I'm just gonna python 3-m http server, which is gonna run the python 3 mini server on port 8000, and I'm just gonna use wget to download that. So http then put our local hosts 86 and then port 8000, and I'm just gonna download the linpiece.sh. And now it's downloaded. We can chmod plus x linpiece to make it executable. And then I'm just gonna slash linpiece.sh to run it. And now it's running. We can end the Python mini web server. We don't need it anymore. This is gonna take some time to run. But yeah, basically, I'm just gonna leave it here and then get back on the video when this is done. Okay, so the limp has finished, and we can see by the scroll bar it has a lot of output, so it's best to start from the top. Let me just get to the top, and should be somewhere here. Yep, we can see now on the linpiece OS Linux version 4.15.0 -154 generic. I think this is kind of older, but I'm not sure. We can check that later for this could be a potential local privilege escalation. Now you can see that red/yellow has a 95% of a PE privilege escalation vector. This isn't the one, I've checked. And if we go down to the bottom, that's just output that we don't really need. You can see the processes running, nothing really special. This is our reverse shell, we can see. Next, this is all in green. Socket files, it's not a privilege escalation. There is Unix sockets, which is also another privilege escalation. But here, when we get to the active ports, we can see there's quite a lot of them, which is basically a point to something, right? And then if we see the port 1337, that's node user bin. So this could likely be Strapi, so we won't check it. There is port 8000, I mean, which is pretty interesting. And then we have a MySQL port. So if you look at these ports, I'm just gonna clear the screen. And if we, for example, curl and then 00127, which is basically localhost IP, and then port 8000. We see a lot of output, which is strange. We can see if we take a look at it, there is not, this is all gibberish, all CSS and HTML. Um, take a look a bit lower. Should be something interesting since it's basically some kind of web page. Oh, here we can see Laravel PHP. So that basically means we should port forward that port. And if we go to, I'm just gonna use Chisel to do that. So opt, we can see Chisel is here. So again, Python 3. Open up the Python 3 mini web server. So I'm just gonna use wget again to download that 86 to transfer that file. Port, oops, yeah, I forgot HTTP. I think it could work probably without HTTP, I think. Let me see. I'm just gonna try that. Port 8000 and then Chisel. Yeah, it works without HTTP also. I'm just gonna use chmod plus X to make that executable. Chisel. And then I'm just gonna yeah, port forward. Now I usually, what I like to do, because I always forget the syntax, but this guy 0xdf has a pretty good cheat sheet for chisel. So if you Google 0xdf chisel, we can see tunneling with the chisel. And here is the cheat sheet. So we basically run the chisel server and dashboard. We want our client chisel to connect to. I mean, yeah, client. So we run slash chisel server, and I'm gonna put it on port 9001, for example, and then reverse to like listen. Once we run that, we're gonna go onto our vulnerable machine, and then we're gonna run chisel again. This time we're gonna do the client because that's our client that needs to connect to the server. And if we check here, we need to specify our port and our IP and the port we want to connect to. So our IP is 10.10.14.86 and port is 9001. And then we need to specify the what we want to reverse, which port we want to reverse back to our server basically. And in this case, we're gonna do R to reverse port 8000 and then 127.0.0.1 localhost. That's basically IP of localhost and 8000 again. So run should be connected, and indeed we have session 1 opened. If we check our local host 127.0.0.1 and port 8000. Yep, indeed we can see that what we read is Laravel. Here we can see that basically it has a version down here that we can maybe search some kind of exploits. And if we Google this and type in exploit, should see some kind of exploits here. Uh, we can check debug mode, remote code execution, and if we check that article from Mbionics, here this is a pretty good article that you should take a look at. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but we can see that it basically leverages the log file into var that uses PHP filter to change the contents of a file before it is returned. So basically, uh, this version should have an RC GitHub somewhere um, to remote code execution the exploit. Here we can see, yeah, it's basically trying to do that, clear the logs, basically vulnerability in log files. So usage git clone. So I'm just gonna git clone that. I'm just gonna make. Let's see. Does this still work, or is the session? Yeah, the session dies. I don't know why is that happening. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Chisel client 10.10.14.86 on port 9001. Oops. Colon port 9001. And then reverse the port 800, 8000, 701,000. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Sometimes the just connection breaks. CDCTF, HTTP, Horizontall. Uh, so I'm gonna do sudo git clone this repository, cd into .cv. Let's see if this fixed. Yep. Next, we can see that we need to chmod.exploit. So if we take a look, there is an exploit. It's already chmodded because we can see it's in green. And next we need to do is basically to run it. We need to slash exploits and then specify which hosts 001, 8000. And now to use it, it uses the monologue slash rc1 and then the command execution. So monologue rc1, and then I'm just gonna run the who am I command. Uh, Permission denied, alright, so we need to run it with sudo. And here we can see it indeed has roots. So basically we can just do like this and do specify cat slash roots at root.txt. We need to enclose it in double quotes because it has spaces. So yeah, so the script doesn't break. If we look at here is our root flag, and that's basically it to that machine. Also, I forgot the user flag, which is basically the same. You can cat it from here basically. So it's called home slash developer user.txt. And indeed, this is the user.txt. I forgot to cat it out before, but I'm just gonna show you a way to get a full root shell that I found out. So if you search reverse shells, because this one, it's the bash one, it's not gonna work. Um, I don't know the reason behind it, but it doesn't work. But the ncat one that I found, it works. So I tried multiple different reverse shell payloads, but netcat busybox one worked. So I'm just gonna copy that and just an example to show you. Um, if we put it out here as a command, we need to specify the port. I'm just gonna have it on 5555. Our local host 10.10.14.86. And if we do nc-nvlp on port 5555 to listen on that port, and if we run it, we should, yeah, the script hangs and we can see we have a full root shell id, who am I, and then if we go to slash home, you can see that we have a user called developer, and if we cd into developer, we can see that user flag that I forgot to show you, user.txt. You can get that user.txt when you get the first reverse shell from the Strapi CMS. But yeah, that's it. We can upgrade the shell if we wanted to. We can search for Python, which Python 3 maybe. So Python 3-c import pty.spawn, spawn the bin bash, and then close that, close this, and yeah, export. But yeah, I don't know why the shell breaks, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this box. And if you liked it, uh, subscribe, leave a like, make sure if I said something wrong, put it in comments down below. And yeah, that's pretty much for this box. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next video.